Hi everybody, in this video it's going to be a quick recap of the 4th Republican primary debate. I'm short on time, so I'm going to try to breeze through this. I did watch it, but I actually don't really enjoy making a video about the debates. I prefer to talk more about elections and how the debate might affect it. But let's start off with the person who wasn't there. That's Donald Trump. And at this point, I assume if Trump live streamed himself eating some McDonald's or a well-done steak with ketchup, that would probably get more views than these GOP debates. So let's go through these candidates. Chris Christie, he squeezed in at the end. He was on the stage, and I'm not sure why Christie has to constantly be leaning over on the podium. To me, it looks a little sloppy, but as far as the substance goes, he did spar big time with Ramaswamy. He came to Haley's defense after Ramaswamy went after her. He also took some shots at Ron DeSantis for not answering some questions directly, and for the most part, I do think Christie is much more direct with his answers, but Christie did get some boos from his responses. Most of those were the times he went directly after Trump, but I also think those voters will think he gave a weak response on gender transition for minors. So that's Christie. Let's move on to the opposite side to Ramaswamy. Now, Ramaswamy has a lot of energy, and I know most Democrats and some Republicans do despise Ramaswamy. They think he's irritating and annoying. I think there were a couple of times he was talking too much. It did go over the line, kind of came off as a little bit of a nuisance. He probably was a little bit too insulting for voters to Nikki Haley. But if you're looking for something that's not pure establishment and a little bit outside the box, that is going to be Ramaswamy. Maybe you disagree with where he stands on the issues, but he at least has some rhetoric that calls out corporations and corruption, and it seems like he's willing to take some more risks with what he says. That kind of thing, I think, does have appeal. At one point, he did even hold up a sign that says Nikki Haley is corrupt. Some people eat that stuff up, some people laugh it off. I'll leave that to you to decide, but he's at least something new. So that's Vivek. He's going to be polarizing. Now let's go to Nikki Haley. Now this is unimportant, but one thing I always notice about Nikki Haley is whenever she's talking, she frequently seems to be gritting her teeth way more than anybody else I've ever really seen. It's not super important, but like Chris Christie leaning over on the podium, it stands out to me. So Haley came into this debate in the conversation of being the front runner, so she got some more attacks this time. She seemed to welcome the attacks, but then later on I thought she cooled off, did not really have a standout moment. Christie came to her defense. She didn't really seem to have anything to add to it, so I thought the second half was a little bit more subdued, but she did have to answer some questions with her ties to corporations, and she's trying to present herself as the front runner alternative to Trump. And I did think she had a decent closing statement for voters, but I don't know if she's going to be able to overtake DeSantis. And she is establishment friendly. A lot of Republican voters, certainly in the Trump base, they don't like Nikki Haley. They would not vote for her. Usually that means Democrats are going to be a little bit more friendly to that candidate, just like Chris Christie. But overall, Haley, I thought she did okay. Last, we've got Ron DeSantis. He appeared a little bit wooden, like he usually does, and Christie did hit him on not answering some questions directly, such as the use of sending in troops overseas. But kind of like everybody else, I thought DeSantis did all right. He probably had a couple of high points and a couple of moments he'd like to redo, but considering these people are all running for second place, DeSantis seems like the most viable option. I don't think he should have ran in the first place because I thought Trump was going to completely overshadow him. That is what's happened, but still DeSantis does have a lot of executive experience. He is young enough. It seems like he would get enough of the Trump voters if he were the nominee, and he has not also completely alienated the establishment. So we'll see what happens. All of them I thought did okay. Christie barely squeaked in, so this might be the end of the line for him unless he surges in the polls. But overall, it was a little bit better of a debate because it was a little bit more intimate. Only 4 candidates, that meant a lot more speaking time, a lot more back and forth, and a lot more topics covered. Now, as far as these specific issues go, they touched on a variety of things, and I could easily nitpick at some of the answers and some of the topics. They actually did try to hit up some economic issues like housing affordability and healthcare. In a primary, I think some of the answers they give are going to be winners, but at the same time, I think some of them, especially on a few economic concerns, I think are going to be duds. People do want a guarantee of healthcare, and they don't only want to hear stop spending and printing money. They do want to hear how you're going to get some more revenue, possibly from the top income earners. If the Democrats had a debate, that would probably be a big focus in it. It would be nice to hear some of that on the GOP side. But like with any debate, there's going to be a few things you like, a lot of things you don't like, and there's probably some issues you're just not sure about. I know some of the international issues like the Middle East, China, Ukraine, those are complex. I don't know what the right answer is. I know a lot of voters don't know what the right answer is either. So some topics are going to be hard to say who did better or worse on. A lot of times in this debate, the response was just, that's not true, that's a lie. lie. So who knows what's really true? That wraps up this debate. There was a lot of bickering. It's nice to see everybody on stage. On the other side of the coin, the Democrats, they still have not had a debate. And real quick, this made the news the other day. In Florida, the Democrats have decided to only put Joe Biden's name on the primary ballot. I've seen a lot of outrage over that. That to me does seem pretty egregious, especially if you're constantly touting democracy, then you pretty much got to have these other candidates on the ballot like you would in any other situation. And I know there was a forum with Marianne Williamson, Dean Phillips, and Cenk Uygur after this GOP debate. I watched some of it. Just like with the GOP debate, there's going to be a few things you like and some stuff you don't like at all. So Democrats should be having a primary debate. And I'm going to pull this last article up from AP. This also came out the other day. Biden says if Trump was not running, then he's not sure if he would be running for re-election. I don't think this needs to be said, but it sounds like he's running because he thinks he's the only one that could beat Trump. But all the polling says otherwise. Democratic primary voters say they want somebody other than Biden. And there's been no debates and no serious primary. So that seems incredibly arrogant to say you're the guy who's going to do this because you don't want to let him win. Yet most voters don't want you to run and you don't want to go up against them in a primary. That's politics for you. A lot of craziness and hypocrisy out there. But this Republican debate I don't think is going to change anything. Trump is the slam dunk frontrunner. Maybe he gets convicted. That does change things in a few months. But going into the Iowa caucus and the primaries, Trump is sitting pretty and he's enjoying watching all these other people go after each other. But I'm always open to something crazy happening on each side. Maybe some stuff happens and somehow it's not actually Trump as the nominee. Maybe somehow it is Gavin Newsom for the Democrats. We'll see what happens, and I tried to be quick. Didn't really happen, but that's a recap of the debate last night. So let me know in the comments, what did you think about that debate? Anybody stand out for you? Will anything change? How about the Democrats? What do you think about their primary? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join or donate if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.